This is Tria Case. I'm the University Director of Sustainability and Energy Conservation for the City University of New York. And I want to take a moment to thank Hira Mohammed for helping to organize this this webinar. As you all know, it takes a lot to make that happen. So thank you, Hira. So today we're covering just a couple of topics. We do have a in-person meeting coming up on February 27th. So we'll look forward to seeing many of you at that meeting as well. Today we're going to be covering waste management and recycling. Thank you to the New York State Pollution Prevention Unit Institute for being here today. The electric vehicle charging. Thank you to CalSTART. And the Rev Campus Challenge. Thank you to NYSERDA and ERS, and Hira has been supporting that project as well. So thanks to all of you for being available today to help support providing information to the CUNY campuses who have expressed interest in understanding these particular topics and more. You can go to the next slide. So, you know, each of our campuses, you've all developed sustainability plans, and they cover each of the pillars of sustainability. And really the idea today is to try to give you some support and understanding some resources that are out there to help realize the goals that you've each set in these areas. And again, I really want to thank the folks from CalSTART and the Pollution Prevention Institute and ERS and NYSERDA for helping us to pull together these resources, and we'll be having more conversations about these topics and others as we progress throughout this year. And if you have other ideas of presentations that you'd like to see, please let us know that. Obviously, you can reach out to any of us, and also sustainable at cuny.edu, and we'll do our best to arrange more of these throughout the coming year. I think you can go to the next slide. So with that, what I'd like to do is introduce our colleagues at, I don't know if you all did, but I just lost my viewing. I don't know if you guys did. I'd like to introduce our colleagues at the New York State Pollution Prevention Institute and have them give us some background on themselves and also the resources that they can bring to the table for each of you.
Great. Thank you so much to everyone for putting this together. This is Kate McCardle. I'm calling in from Rochester, New York at the New York State Pollution Prevention Institute. Are the slides being shared again? I don't see them on my screen. I can continue to move forward if you'd like.
I can see your screen, but I can't see the slides.
So Kate, would you like to control, or I can just move forward on my screen if you like?
That's fine if you can move forward.
Okay.
I don't know what happened there, but okay. So as I said, welcome and thank you everyone for putting this together. We're happy to be talking a little bit about the work that we do at the New York State Pollution Prevention Institute. I'm going to focus most of the tail end of my presentation on the resources that we can provide to universities. But first, I will just quickly go over the work that we do at the Institute here in Rochester. So as I mentioned, we are with the Rochester Institute of Technology, where the P2I, or New York State Pollution Prevention, I'll call it P2I from here on out, is located. Our university was established about 185 years ago and has a long tradition of career and experiential learning. It's one of the oldest cooperative education schools in the world. As you can see, we have 18,000 students, 10 degrees, and as one of the first efforts that happened about in 1991 was looking at manufacturing sustainability, and when we looked at manufacturing, discovered that universities were working on recycling issues, but there was very little research that was being done in remanufacturing, or that process of re-engineering components and equipment to extend their useful life. So about around the 90s, we established the Golisano Institute of Sustainability, which is where the New York State Pollution Prevention Institute is run out of. So and next slide. If you see here, the pollution prevention was established 11 years ago now, with funding that comes through the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation through the EPF fund. We are able to get that funding every 5 years. RIT does apply to get that support, and our focus is really to look at the reduction of resource consumption. So whether that is water, energy, looking at the elimination of waste and toxics. So while we're focused today on waste management and recycling, we are looking at all of those components and how do we reduce that resource consumption and reduce pollution before it occurs. So our areas of focus are listed on the slide here. We're doing direct technical assistance, we're doing research and development, and now also in the last couple years, really focusing on those emerging contaminants in green chemistry, as well as looking at how to reduce food waste. So food scraps reduction has been something that we've been really hyper-focused on the last couple years. And of course, all of these things, doing this great technical work and providing assistance to companies, there's clearly an outreach and education component that needs to happen to connect with people further about the work that we're doing. So actually we're up to 16 full staff now that are located here in Rochester, but we do serve the entire state. So we're all over the place. Next slide, you can see our resource map here. We have our university partners. So RIT is not the only university that is doing this research and that we're engaged with. We are partners with the Clarkson University up in the North Country, RPI in Troy, New York, Cornell, and Binghamton University. So we're working with them, as well as the manufacturing extension partnerships throughout New York State, in which there are 11, and you can see them on the map. So again, it's connecting with them and working to not only pull research that's happening at those universities, but also transfer that information directly to companies and businesses and small manufacturers, medium-sized manufacturers across the state. Next slide. So when we look at the technical assistance that we're providing, our goal is to implement really effective but also cost-effective solutions for companies. So typical projects you can see on the slide vary, but generally we are working, as I said, with small or medium-sized manufacturing companies. We look at toxic use reduction. We're looking at how to design products efficiently so that we use less material or efficiently or use materials efficiently. We're looking at, often doing life cycle cost analysis for companies, and looking at recycling materials or conserving materials, whether it's specific to water or other materials. And then another area that we're focused in is new technology. So as new technology in the field of sustainability is deployed, validating research and efficiencies in that technology for companies so that they can promote that throughout the state and across the nation. And waste reduction is clearly an issue that we're working with very often with companies, as well as energy use. So most of the companies, and when we're working directly with, we contract with them for about 4 to 6 months. The companies do invest in this work, so there is a cost share component. They are paying for our services, but it's a fraction of the cost, and we do, as you saw in the earlier slides, do get support from the state to do this important work. And the company does agree to, once they've gone through and gotten and received support through the New York State Pollution Prevention Institute, they do share the results. So at the end of my slides, I'll have a link to our website. I encourage everyone to go in and look at the work that we're doing. We share our results in case studies, and we'll be launching a new website soon as well. Next slide. So I talked a little bit about the university partnerships. So we do, while we have the partner universities that we listed, we do provide support to them for research. So those are really looking at applied research and in the goal to make sure that companies in New York State can be competitive in the marketplace. So that research, we do put out an RFA. There will be one coming out soon for those universities to do funding. And to date, as you can see on the slide, we've provided about $2.7 million. And all of those research projects, the summaries can be found on our website as well. Next slide. So we do have, this is data from last year. We've worked with over 240 companies. As you see, we've invested in research and development. And we've also, through our community grants program, which I'll talk a little bit about later in the presentation, we've provided $1.7 million to over 100 communities now in New York State. And the environmental impact that this is having, we do go back to the companies for 3 years after we've worked with them and receive information about how they have continued to reduce waste in their companies, reduce and saved water as well as energy. So you can see the inroads we've made so far on this slide. So I've been asked to talk a little bit about opportunities, and certainly, go ahead, you can move forward. And certainly there are a couple of great opportunities in the state right now for universities throughout the state to receive funding either through P2I or other organizations. So I'll talk a little bit about that. We do have a community grants program, which is available to any nonprofit organization, so an environmental advocacy group or whoever it may be across the state, as well as academic institutions. So any university, as well as any K through 12 school could apply for our grants program, and municipalities. So villages, towns, cities across New York State are also eligible to apply. And the goal of the community grants program is really, as you see here, to improve the health of the community members, but also have an impact on the environment and the economy. And it's really through information sharing. So the goal of this program is how do we create impactful, whether it be education materials or trainings, how do we directly engage this critical work that we're doing, that all of us are doing with the general public, and how do we engage and inspire behavior change, which so many of us are trying to do. How do we do this? And what we're looking for is really creative solutions. So folks that are really, really trying new things in their community, or developing a pilot program, whether it be in waste reduction or in energy efficiency, whatever it may be. Anything related to pollution prevention is eligible under this grant. As you can see on the slide, last year we awarded 13 grants for $238,000, and we're able to leverage all of those programs with the technical resources that we have here on staff. I won't go through all of the other metrics there, but you can see the folks that we funded were very busy getting out into their communities and distributing material, as well as working directly with individuals. Next slide. This is an example of one of the universities that we have funded. It happens to be RIT, but we funded a lot of schools across the state. This one I chose to highlight because it was related to reducing waste. RIT's Goodbye program is one, much like a lot of universities have across the state, on reusing materials that would go to waste after dorm move-outs. I'm sure many of you know how folks and students, when leaving campus tend to leave a lot behind. So many years ago, our IT students decided they were going to do something about it. And just in this 1 year that they were working on this project, 34.5 tons of solid waste were diverted from landfill. And you can see they had an incredible volunteer impact here. The interesting piece about this, I know these types of projects are happening across the state. What was funded here was the ability for our RIT to engage in used new technology in terms of tracking the materials that were being diverted, and then created a support training for other universities across the state that wanted to learn about their process, in addition to the carbon footprint analysis that was performed. And really just because this is an incredible volunteer effort, really doing a train the trainer for any universities that were trying to engage in a program like this. So this project gave funding to their students and to their staff to support 15 schools across the state to build their program. So a lot of learning here, and there's a great context here. We can connect any university on the call here today that wants to learn more about this project. Next slide. There will be, the great news is there will be a request for application for this program that's coming out early spring. So I think this will be March or about maybe early April for this funding. This funding will go live, meaning we will fund projects October 1 of 2019. That funding is for 1 year. It would go until September, the end of September 2020. And requests for applications can be funded for up to $20,000. So the projects have to occur within that year and need to be less than $20,000. Again, just to reiterate, these are educational programs, so they're meant to either fund a pilot educational program or build information within a community. Next slide. I want to end the presentation with one more funding opportunity. While I am a New York State Pollution Prevention Institute employee, I am also a board member for the New York State Association for Reduction, Reuse, and Recycling. So I wanted to highlight this organization if you haven't heard of this group before, to make sure that you're following them and the great work that they're doing across the state to reduce waste, to promote reuse, and of course to promote recycling as well, knowing the challenges that are facing our state right now. So as you can see here, this is just the website. There is a conference on reducing food waste in our organic summit, which is happening actually up here in Rochester in March 26th and 27th. So I thought I'd take an opportunity to promote that. If anyone is interested in traveling up, it's an incredible opportunity to learn from people in the field. NYSAR also has a College Council grant. If you'd go to the next slide. This is something I am, as the College Council committee chair, I am going to be running this year. This is really a fantastic opportunity for any colleges across the state are eligible for this funding. They do need to sign up as a College Council member for NYSAR 3, which you can go to the website to find out a little bit more than that. But awards are offered for up to $5,000 this year. For any university that is looking to implement a waste reduction project on their campus, this can be anything from creative education to students on how to reduce waste. It can be for infrastructure. It can be support for student interns or staff. The deadline is approaching soon, so please go on to the website. The deadline for this is March 15th. It's a fairly simple application, but please look at that as a resource. We will be announcing the winners for this on Earth Day this year, 2019. And this project is about a year long. We would fund projects for about a year, but they would need to start by September 2019. And the link for the application is right there at the bottom of the slide, so you can go directly to apply for this funding. And I think I'm out of time, but I think we might have questions later. But my contact information is here. Again, Kate McCardle with the New York State Pollution Prevention Institute, and we are happy to support both of these funding opportunities, both our community grants program as well as supporting the NYSAR 3 College Council grant this year. And again, thank you to the organizers of the webinar for putting this on and allowing us to share a little bit of information about us. Thank you.
Thank you, Kate. That was very informative. So we'll move on quickly to CalSTART, and they'll be presenting on electric vehicles charging. Ben and Dan from CalSTART will be giving this presentation.
Great. Thank you so much, Hira. Good morning, everyone. My name is Ben Mandel. I'm here with my colleague Dan Welch in Brooklyn, and it's our pleasure to share some information with you all this morning on workplace electric vehicle charging, and specifically an incentive program that we're administering in partnership with the New York State Energy Research and Development Authority, NYSERDA, and have been for some time. And we've got some funding left to disperse for the next year or so, and we think the CUNY campuses would be a really good match for this opportunity. So pleased to have the opportunity, and thank you to Hira and Tria for providing the venue. Next slide, please. So just to give you a sense of what we'll be discussing over the next 20 or so minutes, we'll first just provide a bit of background on CalSTART, who we are, why we have this California sounding name, and kind of what we do. And then I'm then going to turn it over to Dan, who's going to walk through basic background on electric vehicle technologies, charging technologies, and what it's actually like to own and operate, so you guys can understand that this is technology that is very much here and now and very much ready for prime time, and just needs a little support from local businesses and institutions and workplaces. And then we'll describe the specifics of the program we are administering called Charge to Work New York, what the available incentives are, how you can get involved, and then how we can work together to promote the greatest uptake for employees of electric vehicles that we can. Next slide, please. So in terms of who we are at CalSTART, we are, first and foremost, we're a clean transportation technology nonprofit. Most of our staff is based in California and has been for about 27 years now, hence the Cal and CalSTART. Dan and I are the Northeast office, and we're based here in Brooklyn, as I mentioned. And we try to work with our membership and industry partners to advance the cause of clean transportation very broadly. We consider ourselves a strategic broker for clean transportation technology, and so we will work with these and other groups that are not pictured as well to try to advance the cause by early stage product development, validating demonstration projects, or in cases like the one we're here to talk about today, administering and designing incentive programs to further activate and accelerate the market for clean transportation options. Next slide, please. So I'm going to turn it over to Dan, and Dan will walk you through some basics on electric vehicles.
Hey everybody, this is Dan. So yeah, as Ben mentioned, I'd like to tell you a little bit just about what EVs are and how you might actually use them. You may have seen them out on the roads. At this point, they're not totally common, but they're growing in popularity. So 1% of national vehicle sales are electric vehicles. It's over 4% in California. In leading states, including the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic, it's about 1% nationally, and then some states are lagging a bit behind. Automakers themselves are really gearing up to produce the vehicle. So initially in 2011 or so, when the market first began, there were only 2 to 3 models, and now there are 30 plus, and those are being rolled out more nationally in terms of availability and even advertising. You may have seen during the Super Bowl that odd little commercial for the Audi e-tron that's sort of indicative of the larger scale that they're now spending millions of dollars to advertise their new electric vehicles. And the most popular car model in the United States, the Ford F-150, is even going to be electrified. That's partially due to pressure from Chinese and international markets, but also due very much to U.S. policy that's helping create the opportunities for these vehicles. So an example of federal policy that you might be interested in is there's a tax credit worth up to $7,500 that would be off of the purchase price of a new purchase or lease of a new qualifying electric vehicle. There are also aspects of the federal fuel economy standards that provide automakers incentives to sell these vehicles. More locally on the state level, there are also programs that incentivize vehicle sales for automakers. So there's a zero-emission vehicle program, which is more functionally as electric vehicles, that New York State is a part of, as well as California and several other Northeast states, that will try to get these vehicles on the road and require automakers to do so. So they want to work with you to make that happen. The states themselves, such as here in New York, will also provide rebates, such as up to $2,000 from the state of New York through the New York Drive Clean program, which is for the sale or lease of a new electric vehicle, as well as charging programs such as Charge to Work New York that gets the chargers out there to make these vehicles a little easier to use. And then lastly, there are city efforts, such as the city of New York is tinkering with new policies to make electric vehicle ownership easier, and utilities. So Con Ed, for instance, offers Smart Charge New York, a program that makes it a little less expensive to actually charge a vehicle. So I mention these because these are policy goals that are driving the adoption of electric vehicles and make it easier to own, but the policy goals are delivering real benefits. So the tailpipes of these vehicles, well, are largely non-existent. So that produces air quality benefits in neighborhoods to global benefits from reduced CO2 emissions. They're also much less expensive to operate, so they have very few working parts. So there's less to have to. There are fewer expenses. There are no oil changes, for instance, for an all-electric vehicle, as well as it's less expensive to actually fuel up. And then a big one for a long time has been domestic energy security. It will reduce oil imports and oil exploration while relying on domestic fuels such as natural gas or renewable fuels such as wind, solar, and hydro. Next slide. So when we're talking electric vehicles, it's useful just to define the same things and the terms for everybody. So when we talk about an electric vehicle, we're really talking about a plug-in electric vehicle, and that has to draw power from an exterior source. So when you're ready to refuel, it's not just putting in gas, but connecting a wire at this time. So there are a few different types. There are plug-in hybrids, which have electric motors and batteries. And then they may also have a traditional engine or a gasoline-powered generator to recharge the battery, or all-electric or sometimes battery electric vehicles, which only have an electric motor. And those are the ones that you may be familiar with, like the Nissan Leaf or the Chevy Bolt with a B. The Volt with a V is an example of a plug-in hybrid, or Teslas are all-electric vehicles. And those are distinct from traditional hybrids, such as a Prius, which does have a battery but is only fueled from gasoline sources. So when you're fueling your car, there are a few different sources or technologies available. The most basic one would be it's called level 1. That's a slower charge. So that's equivalent to the power you might get even from a toaster, and that's a traditional plug that you may have seen just into any wall. So that takes 10 plus hours depending on the size of your battery. A more typically available charging power would be level 2. So that's about the power of a washing machine, and that is for 4 to 6 hours, again, depending on the size of your battery. The DC fast chargers are much larger. That draws a lot more power. Not something you'd find typically in your home, and those are most equivalent to the gas station experience, where you'd go charge your vehicle for 30 minutes or less, depending on how much juice you need, and then drive off. So for L1 and L2 charging, those are universal connectors. For DC fast charging, you may have heard, for instance, that Tesla has its own proprietary connector. That's true, but the Teslas can connect to any other types. There are two other types. CHAdeMO is a Japanese version, a connector type, and American and German cars typically use an SAE combo. That initially in the market was important because DC fast charging would be designed for one or the other, but those have really been harmonized that now charging stations provide all types, so you don't necessarily have to worry about your vehicles not being compatible. Next slide. So L2 is the 4 to 6 hour version, is the most common version you probably find. It's a small investment for home charging, and in public it allows a meaningful but inexpensive amount of short-term charging. And when you think about waiting 4 to 6 hours, that's ideally not something you're actually waiting for. The way I like to describe electric vehicle charging is that it's passive use, and it's the way that you charge a cell phone. If you're not using it, you charge it overnight, or you get to work, or it's low, such as my phone after I updated the iOS. It's terrible, so I get to charge it all the time at work. And then how much it costs. That's a real benefit of electric vehicles. So first of all, it depends on your geographic location exactly how much it costs, depending on electricity prices and the time of day. If there are, for instance, specific Con Ed type programs that make it less expensive to charge your vehicle at different types of day. And then it also depends on the building location. So residential overnight might be less expensive at your house than, say, charging in public. But that also depends. Either in workplaces or in public, the owner may charge very little because they see value in you being there to begin with. And that gets to where you'd want to charge your vehicles, where you'd leave them for a long time unused. So at overnight at home, at workplaces when you're there for 8 hours or hopefully fewer, but maybe more. And then if you're out at malls or other public locations, museums, parks, etc. Next slide. So workplace charging is a really great solution for New York City and the surrounding area. There are often few dedicated parking spaces in garages. There's no large-scale curbside access. So workplace charging offers another outlet, so to speak, for electric vehicle charging. So when you're at the office, at a workplace, as I mentioned, it might be eight hours, but that's plenty to charge your vehicle at level 2, 4 to 6. So a charger at the workplace can charge many vehicles. And then having that certainty and the reliability of the charging station there, that you're not guessing, will there be charging available in public or anywhere else. And then just the access itself makes ownership and regional ownership of vehicles a little bit easier. So it allows people who have long commutes or lack residential charging access these vehicles. With plug-in hybrids, which typically have smaller batteries, allows owners to top off, so every commute will be all electric. So there's research from Idaho National Laboratory that shows that when charging is available, fully a third of that is done at workplaces. So it's a really important benefit. So to talk a little bit more about the realities and benefits of workplace charging through the CalSTART program, I'll turn you back to Ben.
Great, thanks, Dan. So that brings us to Charge to Work New York. For all of those reasons Dan mentioned around the maturity of electric vehicle and electric vehicle charging technology, and the real pronounced need for predictable multi-hour charging locations and accessibility in New York City, where a lot of people don't own cars, but those who do generally park on the curb and maybe in a garage and don't have that predictable residential access. We proposed to NYSERDA to work with a number of local partners, including the New York City Department of Transportation, to do a targeted incentive-based program to encourage local businesses and workplaces to take leadership on this issue by providing heavily discounted workplace chargers for use by their employees. So this is a $1.7 million NYSERDA grant that we received a few years ago, and we spent a while making sure the program design was right and the outreach strategy was well articulated. And now we've been doing pretty well to drum up interest in the program. We'll show some figures in a few slides on how it's going so far, but suffice it to say we do have a little headroom left. And the incentive approach here is really kind of a push and a pull in the sense of wanting to provide workplaces with discounted access to the chargers themselves, and then further facilitating the ultimate uptake of the vehicles, the cleaner vehicles, by providing vehicle incentives directly to employees of participating workplaces. So that's what we're intending when we say targeted incentives, both for EVs and EV chargers. The third component, in addition to each of those incentive components, really is oriented more around outreach and education, as we'll explain more on the next slide. And this includes ride and drives, which we'd be open to discussing with you all, depending which CUNY locations might have interest in this program. But ultimately, at the end of the day, what we have budget for in terms of incentives to disperse are 132 level 2 charging ports. One charging port equates to one charging space. So on aggregate, we'll have funding for 132 charging spaces in and around New York City, and then ultimately 450 more electric vehicles on New York City roadways. That's the impact we aspire to have through this program. Next slide, please. So as mentioned, there are three main components to this effort. The first we're calling free to drive. That's where we really want to partner with our workplace participants to make sure they are providing a venue for their employees to better understand what's available in terms of electric vehicle technologies and what does it feel like to own and operate an EV. How hard is it to plug in the vehicle? The answer, of course, is not very hard, but so much of the time, it's really just a question of getting this technology in front of people and making sure they're exposed to it. So the free to drive component of this program consists of a number of things. It could be just a lunch and learn for employees of participating workplaces, or it could be an all-out ride and drive event. As a side note, we're working toward hosting a ride and drive here at Industry City, which is actually where our Brooklyn office is based in Sunset Park in mid-April. Industry City is finishing up their installation of workplace chargers through this program, which brings me to the next point. The incentive rebate for the actual EV charging equipment, it's $4,000 per charge port or $8,000 per dual port pedestal. Most of the chargers, and I should point out that this program is specific to charge point equipment, which is probably the biggest name in this business. It might be the vendor you're most familiar with in the EV charging space. Most of the units that ChargePoint sells are in fact dual ports, so they might be installed between two charging spaces with cords connecting the pedestal to cars in both spaces. So if you opt for that configuration, you'd get an $8,000 rebate per unit, as it has two ports. And the nice thing about it is that $8,000 is reflected right away. So ChargePoint will receive the rebate and pass the savings along to you straight away. So you don't have the uncertainty of needing to make that capital outlay and then wait for reimbursement later. So we've been finding with our preliminary partners that the $4,000 per port level covers almost, but not entirely, the cost of the ChargePoint equipment, network access, warranty, and things like insurance. Installation costs are not covered, but we're finding that by just about covering the entire purchase cost from ChargePoint, this can really move the needle in terms of helping some leading workplaces make the decision to provide charging access for their employees. Final component as a major pillar of this program we're calling Charge to Win, and this is an additional rebate. This is in addition to a federal tax credit of up to $7,500 and a state upfront purchase discount of up to $2,000. Our program is able to offer an additional discount of $500 to participating employees of participating workplaces. And we're even in conversations with a few automakers, Nissan being one good example. Nissan is going to extend special pricing to participants of Charge to Work New York. So in addition to this $500, you'd actually get an additional $5,000 off the list price from Nissan as a Charge to Work New York participant. We also want to make the point, however, that while we do have a lot of incentive funds to disperse on the vehicle side, we want to try to ration it so that we're not creating a really competitive situation at the workplace where you have a lot of vehicles competing for access to a scarce number of chargers. So we're saying for each dual port charger installed through the program, employers are capped to 7 employee vehicle incentives, and then they'll hopefully install additional chargers to support additional vehicles. Next slide, please. So why do you want to do this? Well, as employers, what we find is that it can be a very effective way to brandish your sustainability credentials. A lot of participants, for instance, in the climate group has an effort called EV100, where they work to highlight corporate sustainability initiatives in transportation. And in addition to greening their own vehicle fleet, a lot of these companies, Bank of America, DHL, IKEA being some ones you may be familiar with, Port Authority of New York and New Jersey is a recent addition to EV100. A lot of these companies have identified workplace charging explicitly as a way that they can make a difference and help facilitate a transition to an electric transportation future. It'll also improve your employees' satisfaction is what we find, and research shows that if your employees have access to vehicle charging at the workplace, it doesn't even necessarily need to be for free, but just having the availability of that capability, particularly in New York City, where public charging is still pretty scarce, that takes the form of a considerable amenity for your employees and leads to happier workers. You'll also be hosting really cutting-edge technology. ChargePoint is a premium product that we don't take lightly, having partnered with them as a vendor on this project. We do feel they offer a very good service, and it's not just the equipment, it's also the network coverage that, for instance, as Dan mentioned, you can support numerous cars with a single level 2 charger. So installing a level 2 charger from ChargePoint at the workplace allows you to do things like establish a wait list, where if I pull up to work at 9:02 and someone's already parked in the charging space and plugged in, I can be on a wait list so that I can be alerted when the car in front of me has finished charging. The car that's finished charging gets a notification that they should vacate that space, and then I can pull in. So it's a better way to manage the charging arrangement within a workplace as well, and hopefully leads to civilized and high utilization outcomes as well. From the employee perspective, it really is a home run. Dan certainly walked through a lot of the benefits of what EV models and options are available and why it might benefit not only the environment, but someone's finances to adopt an electric car as their next car. You'll save money up front in this case by participating in the program relative to trying to buy an EV without purchasing through this program. There are significant savings that we can offer for the vehicle purchase. Over time, in general, if you're relying on level 2 charging to do most of your quote unquote fueling, you will save money relative to gasoline. Dan also mentioned that many fewer moving parts, no oil changes means that you'll save money on maintenance considerably over time. And so it is definitely an ongoing cost savings that reduces the total cost of ownership for a vehicle. There's also additional ways to potentially earn money. We've partnered with Con Edison to try to um, augment participation in their off-peak, it's a voluntary off-peak charging program for electric vehicles. You don't even have to be a Con Ed customer per se. I'm sure some of you or some of your employees live outside the Con Ed service territory in New York City and Westchester. But as long as you do some vehicle charging in Con Ed service territory, you can actually sign up for their Smart Charge New York program. You earn money just by signing up and agreeing to put a little diagnostic device in the onboard diagnostic port of the car. It records your charging sessions and tells Con Ed when you're charging off peak, which of course is better for the grid, and you can earn reward dollars that way. And if you're a participant in Charge to Work and you then sign up for Smart Charge New York Con Ed's program, you get an additional $25 bonus. So there are a lot of different value streams that can be unlocked, both kind of explicit and indirect through this program and through embracing workplace charging in general. Next slide, please. So we would love for some CUNY campuses. We recognize not all campuses may even have parking or have employees who are driving to work, but we do believe some are certainly really good candidates, and we want to explore ways to work together to provide access to your employees to workplace charging so that ultimately they can feel empowered and supported in their decision to explore an electric vehicle for their own purchases. So you can see here kind of our incentive ticker. We're about halfway through with our the EV charger incentive disbursements, and once those result in installations, we'll start to churn out vehicle incentives, but there is some headway left, and we'd love to work with interested CUNY campuses to take advantage of remaining funds. So a good way to do that is to contact us, and you'll see our information at the end, and learn more about ways that not only can we provide discounted access to charge point equipment, but then provide more information and more exposure to your employees to electric vehicle technologies so that they can make the sustainable choice when it comes to their next vehicle purchase. Next slide, please. So here you have contact information for both Dan and myself. There's a general contact email address for the program, C2WNY for Charge to Work New York at calstart.org. And we also have a program website where you can find all of this information as well as the incentive ticker. So you can see how much funding is remaining in the program. And we really do invite any questions you may have. Here, I don't know if there will be time for questions now or maybe at the end, but we look forward to engaging with you all. Thanks very much.
All right. Thank you, Ben and Dan. We can leave the questions for the end in the interest of time. So thank you, CalSTAR, for the awesome presentation. I will move on to, I'll hand over to Karis Arison to do a presentation on the Campus Challenge. Karis?
Yes, of course. Are you going to make me the presenter?
Sure, I can do that.
All right. Well, good morning, everyone. I am Karis Arison. I'm one of the Rev Campus Challenge outreach team members, and I am glad to have the opportunity to talk to the CUNY community. So I would like to thank 3Case and Hira Mohammed, our wonderful partners at Sustainable CUNY, for letting us be a part of this webinar. And I am excited to show you how valuable it is the Rev Campus Challenge program to your campus and to offer you our full support to help you achieve your sustainability goals. CUNYs are a very important group of institutions for us. So why is this membership called the Rev Campus Challenge? What is NYSERDA challenging us to do? Well, the Rev Campus Challenge stems from the Rev, or Reforming the Energy Vision, which is Governor Cuomo's initiative to build a cleaner, more resilient, and affordable energy systems for all New Yorkers. In late 2015, the Governor's office partnered with NYSERDA to launch the Rev Campus Challenge, which aims to help all New York State colleges and universities, all of you, public, private, 2-year, 4-year, statewide, make progress toward your clean energy goals. The challenge refers to yourself, so campuses and individuals challenging themselves to take steps towards sustainability, not in competition with other schools, but just trying to achieve cleaner and better goals. This program is truly about us moving forward collectively as a community. So why is this important? Why should I bother? Why is this any different than everything else going on in my campus? You might ask. Well, our mission is to invest, educate, and engage students and professors, administrators, and everyone on campus, in the classroom, and in the community to promote clean energy and sustainability. So, what we're basically trying to do is create a network, a membership based, inclusive network of all New York State colleges and universities that will help integrate your existing clean energy efforts and support your clean energy goals. So, this means that any and all New York State colleges and universities can become a part of this network, the Rev Campus Challenge, and together we will move everyone forward. This includes institutions at all levels of expertise. So if you're a seasoned and have very clear goals, or if you're not even sure where or what is going on with your energy on campus, we would like you to feel that this is the place for you. We work closely with Second Nature, NIPA, ASHI, NISHI, the New York Catholic Climate Covenant, and other organizations, which means that we can offer this network of resources and support with no fees and no significant administrative burden. So basically using what you already did if you're a member of these organizations. So the Rev Campus Challenge is a free membership that doesn't have a carbon or energy reduction commitment. And the application is straightforward, it's easy to fill. In fact, the outreach team can help you complete it over the phone and assist you every step of the way. We have a diverse membership of 105 institutions and growing. Our members are diverse in institution type, geography, membership level, and also in different goals and paths they have decided to take towards their energy and sustainability goals. But all of them appreciate and value being a part of this larger network. The levels of clean energy expertise are displayed by the membership levels you can see here in the slide, and they're also described in the map. We have a mix of participants, achievers, and leaders. The participants are members that have a strong desire to jumpstart their institution's commitment to clean energy, engage in energy efficiency opportunities, and investigate the potential for on campus renewable energy projects. The achievers are members that are committed to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and have dedicated staff to focus on clean energy investments. The leaders are members that are currently investing in clean energy projects across their campuses, embracing clean energy curricula, research and development, and aiming to engage further with their communities. These graphs give you a sense of the current composition of CUNY Rev CC membership today. As you can see, there's a good mix of different types of institutions, both community colleges and senior colleges. We also have a great mix of schools with different expertise levels as shown by the membership levels. We want to highlight and recognize the 12 out of 22 CUNY institutions that have already shown their commitment to clean energy goals through their RevCC membership. Our goal is to have all CUNYs become a part of the RevCC community. If you are a RevCC CUNY member and you are listening today, I congratulate you on your hard work and support, and we are glad to have you on board. The Rev Campus Challenge program provides so many types of supports for its members. First of all, it provides recognition for progress toward toward achievement of clean energy goals. It also provides exclusive access to funding to drive clean energy projects and initiatives. Also, opportunities to have your needs heard by NYSERDA and venues and for resources and best practices sharing. We will cover all of these benefits, ranging from public recognition to funding to feedback platforms to knowledge sharing in the next few slides. The program is well positioned to provide members with recognition for their commitments on many public platforms to help amplify the marketing of their commitments and achievements. The program also helps your institution receive statewide, national acknowledgement of your commitment to clean energy from experts and third parties. Targeted recognition comes in many forms. We have marketing, collateral development, case studies, and member spotlights. Our team can help you tell the story of your campus's accomplishments. The RevCC website, all members listed on members are listed on our membership page, and can also be featured in on a member spotlight. There's Facebook, Twitter, other social media, email blasts, conferences, events, awards, and certificates that are signed by NYSERDA's president and CEO. And all of this recognition is available regardless of SBC payment status. But you might ask, but where is the financial support? NYSERDA understands the importance of financial support to help institutions reach their energy goals. One funding opportunity available to CUNY RevCC members is the Energy to Lead competition. This competition awards funding based on a competitive proposal process to colleges or universities with the leading solutions for implementing replicable clean energy projects that significantly reduce greenhouse gas emissions. NYSERDA intends to launch another round of the Energy to Lead competition in 2019, and it will be available to all RevCC members regardless of their SBC status. We estimate the solicitation will be released late 2019 with an early 2020 deadline. But keep in mind that the Energy to Lead 2019 will be looking for engaging and impactful projects, and their evaluation criteria will likely have a strong emphasis on energy savings. And also, the next round of Energy to Lead is still not approved and subject to change. But more detailed information will be announced at our workshops in June, which we strongly encourage our members to attend. And there are several other NYSERDA programs offering funding for different types of clean energy projects, including energy storage, electric vehicles, as our friend just talked about, and charging stations. The Rev Campus Challenge team can help members navigate this program offerings. And the last page of this slide presentation will provide links to the programs that may be a fit for CUNY institutions. One of the valuable aspects of the RevCC community is the many opportunities for members to connect and share and ultimately shape the program for their needs. One of those opportunities are the workshops. Workshops are held annually to give members the opportunity to learn from and grow with their peers and provide important feedback to program staff to shape the future of the program. These workshops also give members insights into upcoming programming opportunities. Some examples of previous workshop topics and activities that we had include some host institutions that have given presentations on current projects and efforts, which have led to further discussion and best practices sharing. Host institutions that have brought students in to talk about their energy sustainability related projects to highlight student engagement opportunities. Peer-to-peer breakout sessions to discuss barriers, great brainstorming and networking opportunity. And finally, NYSERDA program feedback sessions, giving institutions the opportunity to give feedback on an upcoming program opportunity so their input could be integrated into the program design and implementation. NYSERDA is always open to suggestions. If there's a topic someone wants to hear or talk about, please don't hesitate to let us know if there are any topics you would like for us to include in our workshops. Note that the next New York City workshop will be held at CUNY John Jay, Wednesday, June 12th from 1 to 4 p.m. Save the date. A save the date will be going out to all our members shortly. But there are many other benefits to the Rev Campus Challenge membership that extend beyond direct financial support. The program gives you the opportunity to show more value to your prospective students and faculty, prepare your students for the growing clean energy job market, to build stronger relationships with your community, but especially to lower your energy bills and reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Rev Campus Challenge is truly your network for success. Not just because of what NYSERDA and Rev Campus Challenge can offer to you, but because each one of these members want you to succeed too. This slide shows all our current Rev Campus Challenge members, and it is a wonderful community. Please join us. And this slide just quickly shows some resources for you. This slide presentation will be distributed to all attendees as a PDF. So you will be able to access all of these links. So we have the link for the Rev Campus Challenge that's on NYSERDA's website, and the Energy to Lead competition that I mentioned also on NYSERDA's website. Transforming Our Tomorrow, prizes for student revolutionary projects ideas. Like if you want, I'll give you more information about that. Charge Ready New York, and the Energy Storage Program that offers technical assistance for projects too. And finally, here is the Rev Campus Challenge Outreach Team contact information. As I mentioned, I am Karis Arison, and also Hira, a Sustainable CUNY, as we all know her. We are here to serve you, and please call us if you have any questions. There's also our email, revcampuschallenge@nyserda.ny.gov, and our website too. Thank you so much. I'm not sure if now we have the round of questions. So.
Thank you, Karis. Yes, so we have a few minutes for questions. So if anyone has any questions, you can type it into the questions box.
It's Tria, this is Ben.
Hey, Ben.
I wonder if I can maybe just offer a point of clarification, and maybe this will also stimulate additional questions. But yeah. I noticed that in Karis's presentation, she discussed an available state program called Charge Ready New York, which is another component of the state's general, electric vehicle portfolio, and it is similar in nature and in name to the program that CalSTART spoke about just earlier. So effectively, and Karis, please chime in if I'm mischaracterizing anything. We're also working with a number of folks on the general Charge Ready New York statewide program. Charge to Work New York is just a little bit more focused on a specific use case, being workplace charging. So really, you're only eligible for incentive funding through our Charge to Work program if you're supporting that workplace charging application, where you are supporting private vehicles of your employees. And it also is, in theory, more focused on the New York City and surrounding communities area, whereas Charge Ready New York, Charge Ready is available to a wider variety of level 2 use cases. So it might be at a multi-family residential building. Workplace is also acceptable. Any sort of public charging anywhere in the state can be supported in a reimbursement manner rather than upfront through Charge Ready New York. So just helpful to point that out. Hopefully that gives useful information to the folks on this call that there are really a variety of opportunities to take advantage of, and gets people thinking about which kinds of use case they really do want to support in terms of electrification of transportation, and where there is interest in specifically EV charging for employees. We think Charge to Work is really going to be able to help. So if anyone thinks they'd like to support that application, would welcome any questions.
That's very helpful, Ben. Thanks for clarifying that. And we've definitely had a couple of campuses raise their hand, as I think I've mentioned to you in the past, about wanting some help thinking about EV charging stations. So I think we'll end up as a group, at least a few campuses, coming back to you for some deeper support in terms of how to move forward. Certainly, we've had positive feedback from the campuses that have EV charging stations. They vary. Most of them have used past NYSERDA programs to help support deploying those EV chargers. Some of them have kind of reached their end of maybe end of life, or need some software upgrades. So that's one of the reasons why the conversation has come up again with some of those campuses, but there's also plenty of opportunity to deploy more, and the folks who have those systems have also raised the question about how to get more. So I think it's fair to say that it's been a
question from Ilaria about if there's an opportunity for students to get involved through Sustainable CUNY.
Absolutely. So each campus has on your sustainability councils. There should be a student representative on your council. So making sure that student representative is working with students on the campus is obviously very important. But also, if any of you have students who would like to engage in internships, in areas of sustainability, please, reach out to us and let us know that. There are multiple programs that the city and CUNY are running that are opportunities for paid internships for folks who are interested in entering this field. So absolutely reach out to us.
And Elvin is asking, Karis, this is for you. If there's so they're asking about the guidelines to join the Ref Campus Challenge. I can answer that. But for Alvin, there is no requirements for joining the Ref Campus Challenge. There is no reporting requirements or membership fee. You just have to have an interest in getting involved in the conversation. And it's a very quick application. It takes 5 minutes to sign up, and there is no specific commitment that your campus has to make to become a member.
Here I mentioned there are no requirements. You just have to be a college or a university in New York State, and you would fill a very quick application that we can help you go through. Nothing very difficult. It takes about 5-10 minutes, and then we'll do an onboarding call where we'll ask you what are you interested in, what projects do you want to do on campus, and we'll show you any programs that NYSERDA has funding opportunities for, and we'll try to support your sustainability efforts. I think somebody also asked about student opportunities. I mentioned that NYSERDA has Transforming Our Tomorrow, a new clean energy vision. It's actually it's for students that have sustainability projects, and they can get a cash prize up to $3,000 to do their projects on campus. So that it's running. I think applications are being it's open for applications right now. So that's another way that students can get involved and get some funding for their projects too. And I wanted to thank Ben too. That he mentioned Charge New York. We just put that program here in our presentation because it's a NYSERDA program to support EV vehicles and charging stations. But you can definitely contact us and figure out how much you would get through that program, and and also contact the Ben and figure out which one's a better fit for you. There are plenty of funding opportunities that we can help you navigate through, and that's exactly where we're here to help you. So
Alvin has another question about students participating and receiving up to $3,000. Is this for the Transforming Your Tomorrow program?
Yes. Okay, I'll give more information about the program. It is basically, I know that it's from the University of Buffalo Sustainability. They are searching for students from across New York State to present revolutionary clean energy ideas. So any student that has completed a project or a program or has an idea of a new policy or invention can apply to win the cash prize at the University of Buffalo's Transforming Our Tomorrow website. So participants will have 5 minutes to showcase their work, either in teams or individually in front of a panel of judges. and on the University of Buffalo's campus in April. And each presentation will be scored by the judges based on creativity, presentation, and research. The first place will receive $3,000. The second place will receive $2,000, and the third place will receive $1,000. And one project will also be awarded with a bonus prize of $200 for its consideration on social impacts of clean energy. So this can mean that the project's implications, project implications on low-income communities, developing countries, gender equality, education, racial equity, and more. So all students that participate will receive a professionally edited video of their presentation, which is very nice. And applications may be submitted via a short 1 to 2 minute video or a 2-3 paragraph written pitch. And the competition is open to students working on a school project in the renewable field, or they could just have a passion for clean energy and might be interested in applying. So the link on my presentation has more information, and actually takes you to the application website. So just to give you an idea, last year 5 teams shared their ideas from University of Buffalo, RIT, and Syracuse, and those presentations, I believe the ones that won are on the website too, if you would like to see those. So the funding for this competition comes from NYSERDA's Rev Campus Challenge. That's why, even though it's hosted at the University of Buffalo, all the it's coming from the Rev Campus Challenge. I have to check because it is my understanding that the applications were due on February 8th. So this cycle might be closed, but it is a cyclical competition that opens. So just keep in touch with me, shoot me an email, and I'll figure out when the next cycle is, and I will let you know. But it is, they do it, at least, I would say at least once a year. So I'll let you know when the next one is. But it is a great competition, and especially because all participating students receive a product quality, TED Talk style video of their presentation. So even if this round is closed, you have a whole year to get ready for next year and, win those cash prizes to do energy efficiency projects on campus.
And there's a question that just came in through the chat window that I'll address in case somebody hasn't seen it. The question is, are there any other manufacturers besides ChargePoint in the mix, specifically for the Charge to Work New York program? And does ChargePoint offer bidirectional chargers if campuses wanted to use the stored EV battery energy? So to the first question, ChargePoint is our official partner in this program. And I understand the interest in potentially weighing other choices, but what we can let you know about this program and ChargePoint's involvement is that because they're our exclusive partner, they're actually offering deeper discounts than they would normally offer outside of the program. So they give you the charging station as well as additional services like a warranty and network operational capacity, and they work with you to actually install and site the stations. The cost of installation is not included, but their support is. So ChargePoint, though they're the only participating company, actually gives you a pretty solid deal because of that. And then to your second question, ChargePoint has worked with some sites on specialty installations, working with utilities and solar providers on unique site requests. They do have some expertise in bidirectional capacity and prioritizing, say, when renewable energy comes in or other requests. So it's not necessarily a standard service they offer, but they do have some background in that and could potentially work with any campus on a specific request, such as bidirectional capacity.
Well, again, this is the first of, I think, what will be many conversations on these topics, and it's great to get this kicked off, and thanks everyone for taking the time this morning to both present and to hear about this and to think about it from a campus perspective. And we'll look forward to supporting you guys in deploying and taking advantage of these programs across the university.